what do you care about? Everyone has experiences. Everyone has had to overcome something. Everybody has a story. What are the things that have been hard for you that you would wish for them to be different for someone else? This is a very different take on what I think a lot of people get as advice, which is you go find the other who is poor and you try and improve their lives. I think you're most efficient, effective, and reach people deeply when you're acting from a place of self-consciousness and self-awareness. It's about what are you trying to heal the world from that you experienced.
Our social entrepreneurs are people who have been on the front lines of social change. I've learned so much from talking with them. This is Cafe Impact, and I'm Jonathan Lewis.
So I came out when I was 19, first to myself and then to my family.
How'd that go?
Did not go very well at all. I was very fortunate that I actually found community online. I think I learned that there were many other people like me, and I wasn't alone, even though every day I experienced great isolation. I experienced sometimes self-hate, sometimes derision from my family. But I knew that there were people like me out there, and we were all together as part of a project, not just for our own self-acceptance, but also to build a community so that the next generation after us wouldn't have to go through coming out and being quite so isolated.
Mitigating your isolation was also a survival skill.
Absolutely.
And it also informs, if I'm not mistaken, the work you now do as the CEO of IDEX, because you don't allow anyone in your organization to feel isolated.
It's a deep-seated value. I do think that in community and in collective, we are more powerful.
If you don't fit the mold, what's the advice on how to deal with it?
Know that the tide is changing, because I think there's a lot of people who haven't fit the mold, who have begun to break through, but it's also really about not comparing yourself to them and how to hold on to who you are, your individuality, and your values. I think it's important to know that there is some level of personal mastery you have to gain to be able to sometimes sit in rooms that otherwise may not be rooms you normally would want to sit in, but that you don't have to let go of who you are to do that.
I got pregnant my first year in college, and I was 18 and had my son, right before my 19th birthday. And it was tough. I mean, none of my peers were in that situation. I mean, they were traveling summers and, finding themselves. I had no opportunity to find myself. I had to know pretty damn fast what it is that I was going to do with my life. Being a young mom was definitely one of the first times I remember feeling the glare of people's eyes. When I would apply for jobs, I never said anything about being a mother because I didn't want people to think I wasn't as hardworking or committed. It was challenging, in terms of having to juggle all of that. And I also think it put a lot of purpose in my life. I think that when you do have to care for somebody else, sometimes, something rises up in you and leads you. And I also, for the first time, I had to go through a lot of different programs. I was on the WIC program. My son was on Medi-Cal getting state-subsidized health care. For a small time, I was on welfare. And so having gone through those experiences was very sobering to me. I really felt a lot of the judgment and a lot of the humiliation that we make people go through every single day to just, put food on the table and raise their kids. It really clarified for me that I wanted to humanize that problem and dehumiliate the problem, that most moms and single moms and young single mothers face every day.
What are the sacrifices that you've made in job security, compensation, or lack of it, personal relationships, in order to give all that you are?
I think that the sacrifices are many. Had a good job, very nice car, good house in Sausalito. Everything was going well for me. But with all of those nice things, I was pretty miserable. Everybody is so focused on go get a job, make money, start establishing your life, find a nice girlfriend, do all those things. And because all those things were there for me, I figured that I at least owed the world to be somewhat happy with it, So, the fact that I was spending at least 3 nights a week drinking and I would go into work, hungover, twice a week, I didn't really think was a problem.
What have you sacrificed to do this work, either in money, in relationships, in job security?
So I'm going to say the most obnoxious thing ever. Nothing. On the money side, it's just deferred income. So what if I'm not a millionaire by the time I'm 28, 29? That doesn't matter, okay? I'm building skills and a network that if I ever wanted money, I could make money. If it's hard work that's pushing you and you're not making big bucks yet, that's not a sacrifice, that's a learning process. On the relationship side, sure, there were times when I was traveling so much I didn't have any friends practically. I didn't have girlfriends. I didn't know what I was doing. But once I figured out that I need that in my life, I prioritized it, I made time for it, and I'm getting married next month, and I have a wonderful relationship, and that's because I put aside time just to be with my fiance. You can be completely obsessed with your work and still have time for relationships. And people who can't figure that one out are missing out on something really wonderful.
I was the first one in my family to go to college, and my parents were very proud of it. They both had to work. My mom in a factory and my dad in the supermarket, and I was their success story. However, on graduation day, they said, are you going to be a doctor? Are you going to be an engineer? You're going to be a businessman? What are you going to, lawyer? I said, I'm going to join the Peace Corps. And they said, what? I said, Mom, I'm going to be a pioneer. Why do you always have to be the pioneer? Let them do it. Let them come back, and then you go. I said, no, I want to be the first to go.
What did you learn in Peru that you were able to bring back that informed your next step?
There were some major changes that happened. I was going with a young woman that we were going to be married, and as I was leaving her to go into the Peace Corps, and she said, Jerry, I know this is something you have to do, and she said, all I can tell you is that I don't know if I can wait. And I said, please wait. I will be back. I finally saved up, money to make a phone call. There's no internet or anything in those days, and the town was 5 hours away where the phone was. And I said, hello, how are you? And there's a lot of static, and she was crying, and then all of a sudden it was over, and then I realized that was a chapter that was closed.
How did you feel?
Oh, devastated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking you because it feels to me sometimes we make it look too easy. I think that we don't talk enough about sacrifice.
At 14, I knew I wanted to be a nurse because I wanted to help people until I couldn't get a B in organic chemistry and I was not let into nursing school. And then I decided, I took a film class and I wanted to become a documentarian so that I could become the voice of the voiceless. So I went to film school, and I was happy that I didn't get into nursing school.
Right. Yeah, sure.
And I ended up getting into the commercial world and music video world in waiting, if you will, waiting in the wings. I heard about the war in Sierra Leone, and I became obsessed with wanting to tell this story of how a diamond miner was making $1.33 a day and wasn't able to take care of their family. I just wanted to share this. So I quit my job and started to raise money for this documentary.
What did you learn about taking risks? Because, you say quit your job. It's a few words, but it suggests a huge decision.
Exactly. It's a sentence now, but it was like the longest period of my life.